Hello everyone, today I'll continue sharing the story of the single mother, Tuna. Let's watch the video together. This morning, Tuna woke up earlier than usual. The first rays of sunlight streamed gently through the window, casting a warm glow on her smiling face. After many days of anxiety and uncertainty, she finally felt a sense of true peace. Ever since Alex's mother had opened her heart and accepted her, that feeling was not just joy but also liberation. Like a warm breeze that swept away the lingering fog of fear and doubt. She slipped on a light cardigan and stepped into the yard. The garden outside Alex's house was still covered in morning dew. Sparkling drops on the leaves reflected the soft sunlight. Tuna picked up a bamboo broom and gently swept the fallen leaves. With each motion she felt lighter. Birds chirped on the roof, and the wind rustled through the bougainvillea vines. The morning seemed to hum with new life. Looking up at the clear blue sky, she smiled. Today would be a beautiful day. After cleaning, Tuna went into the kitchen. The small space was neat, bright, and full of warmth. She opened the cupboard and took out the ingredients she had prepared the night before. Soft glutinous rice flour, mashed mung beans, shredded coconut, and toasted sesame seeds. Today, she planned to make fried mung bean cakes to sell at the market. To her, it wasn't just a way to earn a living, it was joy. The joy of creating something sweet and meaningful with her own hands. She poured warm water into the flour bowl, kneading patiently until the dough became smooth and elastic. Every movement was gentle and deliberate, as if she were tending to something precious. When the dough was ready, she rolled it into small balls, placed the filling inside, and shaped them carefully. Her nimble fingers moved swiftly. Soon dozens of cakes were neatly arranged on a tray. When the oil in the pan began to bubble, Tuna lowered each cake in carefully. The sizzling sound filled the air as the fragrance of mung beans and coconut spread throughout the small kitchen. She turned the cakes patiently until they turned golden and crisp. Though sweat beaded her forehead, her eyes glowed with quiet happiness, the simple joy of a woman who had found meaning in her daily life. When the last batch was done, she placed them on a bamboo tray to cool. Looking at the golden cakes, Tuna smiled softly. She decided to give a few to the kind neighbor who often lent her baskets and pans, save some for Alex to taste later, and wrap the rest neatly in parchment paper with a small string, ready for the market. Outside, the sun was now high. The sounds of bicycles and street vendors echoed from afar. Wearing her conical hat, Tuna loaded the basket onto her small cart, her heart full of faith and hope. She knew that though life had once been filled with storms, from now on, each sunrise would mark a new beginning. One where she could both love and share that love through her own hands. Her day passed quietly, wrapped in the sweet scent of fried cakes and her gentle smile, simple, but warm like the morning sun of autumn. While Tuna was busy with her cakes, on the other side of the city, Alex began his own day. Sitting in his high-floor office, sunlight streamed through the glass window, illuminating his calm, determined face. Since his mother had accepted Tuna, Alex's heart had changed completely. The heavy fear that his love would never be approved by his family had finally lifted. Now, with all barriers gone, his heart was filled with gratitude, happiness, and one burning wish: to give Tuna a peaceful and fulfilling life. He carefully reviewed project plans and numbers. Despite his busy schedule, her image would often flash in his mind: that gentle smile, her petite figure by the kitchen fire, those deft hands kneading dough. The thought made him smile. She's probably frying cakes right now, he mused, feeling a warmth spread through his chest. That afternoon, after a long meeting, Alex stepped onto the balcony, inhaling deeply. The sky was blue, and golden sunlight covered the city. He checked his phone and saw the photos Tuna had sent earlier, golden cakes neatly arranged on a tray with a short message: freshly fried. I saved some for you, Red Heart. Alex chuckled softly. Just a simple line, yet it sent a warm current through his heart. That girl, so simple and pure, made his life brighter than all the luxury in the world. He whispered to himself, I'll work even harder so she never has to worry, so she can just smile like this. And so, amid the rush of the city, Alex returned to his desk, working with renewed energy. Somewhere far away, the sweet scent of Tuna's cakes drifted through the breeze, carrying with it the quiet tenderness of two hearts bound by love. A humble woman with skillful hands, and a man striving each day to be worthy of her. Amid the days of tranquil happiness that Tuna and Alex thought would last forever, a cold wind quietly began to blow, a silent warning of the storm lurking behind their fragile peace. Mai, a woman who had once worked with Alex and secretly loved him for years, had never let go of her obsession with winning his heart. When she learned that Alex's mother had accepted Tuna, jealousy flared violently inside her. She couldn't accept that the man she loved now belonged to an ordinary girl, a woman without status, wealth, or family name. In her anger and despair, Mai began to hatch a dark plan. One afternoon, while Tuna was cleaning up her stall at the market, a strange man appeared. He wore a dark jacket, a cap pulled low over his face. His voice was deep, hoarse, and chilling. "You're Tuna, right?" Startled, Tuna looked up and nodded slightly. She had never seen this man before. "You'd better be smart," he said, his hands buried in his pockets, his eyes sharp as blades. "If you want that baby of yours to stay safe, stay away from Alex." The words froze her. The basket in her hands trembled as her lips quivered. What are you talking about?" "I don't understand." The man smirked, a cold, twisted smile. "Don't pretend to be innocent. Someone doesn't want to see you near him anymore. And if you don't listen..." He leaned closer, whispering slowly, "Your baby might not make it into this world." The sentence pierced Tuna's heart like a knife. Her face went pale. She could only stare as he turned away, leaving behind the smell of cigarette smoke and a trail of terror. Tuna stood frozen for a long time. Fear swelled inside her. Who had sent him? Who even knew about her pregnancy? A secret she had shared with almost no one. Deep down she sensed the truth. It must have something to do with Mai, the woman who always lingered around Alex with that unreadable gaze. That evening when Alex came home, he immediately noticed her pale face and trembling hands. "Nah, what's wrong?" he asked gently. She forced a smile. "Nothing. I'm just tired." But the fear would not fade. Every time she thought of that man's words, her heart tightened. She didn't want Alex to worry or get caught in danger, yet she also knew her silence might leave her alone against something far more terrifying. That night, Tuna sat by the window, gazing at the city lights. Her hand rested gently on her stomach, where a small life was quietly growing. Tears welled in her eyes as she whispered, "My baby, I won't let anyone hurt you. No matter what happens, Mommy will protect you." Outside, the night wind grew colder, whispering of misfortune. And somewhere across the city, Mai sat in her car, staring into the dark with icy eyes. In her hand was a photo of Tuna. Her lips curved into a thin, knife-like smile. "Let's see how strong your love really is, Tuna." The nightmare didn't end there. Mai, consumed by hatred, showed no sign of stopping. Her jealousy had grown beyond reason. What began as distant threats soon turned into horrifying messages invading Tuna's daily life. One morning, as Tuna opened the door to leave for the market, she froze. A torn, filthy doll sat on the doorstep, its head ripped apart, a red-stained string tied around its neck. Her hands trembled. No one was around, only the whisper of wind and the flutter of birds. When she opened her basket, she found a small folded note. "If you don't disappear, next time it won't be just a doll." Another day, after selling her first batch of cakes, someone sent her a small package, claiming it was from a regular customer. Inside was a gleaming knife, with streaks of red like dried blood. The box slipped from her hands as tears filled her eyes. From that day on, Tuna lived in fear. She couldn't stay home alone, and slept with the lights on. Every sound made her heart race. Though she tried to act normal around Alex, her haunted eyes betrayed her. Alex noticed the change. She no longer smiled as before, often glancing anxiously out the window or flinching at passing cars. "Nah," he said softly one evening, holding her hand. "Is there something you're not telling me?" She shook her head. "It's nothing. I'm just tired." Alex's gaze lingered, full of worry. He sensed something deeper but didn't press her. One rainy afternoon, as usual, Alex drove to pick her up from the market. When he reached her gate, he stopped short. A neatly wrapped black box sat at the doorstep, tied with a red ribbon. No sender. A chill ran through him. He opened the box carefully. Inside was a photograph of Tuna, clearly taken in secret, and scrawled across it in red ink were the words, "She's not worthy of you." Beneath the photo lay a small knife, its handle engraved with her name. Alex's blood ran cold. His hands clenched into fists, anger and dread surging together. He understood now. Someone had been threatening the woman he loved, and she had been facing it alone. He rushed inside and found Tuna sitting silently by the table, her hands protectively covering her belly. When she saw the box in his hands, her face went white. "Alex, you saw it?" He set it on the table, gripping her shoulders, his voice shaking with fury and fear. "Why didn't you tell me? Who did this to you, Tuna?" Tears streamed down her face. "I was scared. They said they'd hurt the baby if I told you." At that moment, Alex went still. Then his eyes hardened with rage. Pulling her into his arms, he whispered, voice low and steady, no one will threaten you or our child. I promise you I'll find out who's behind this. And when I do, they'll regret ever touching you." Outside, the rain poured harder. Lightning flashed, illuminating his determined face and her terrified eyes. The storm was no longer just in the sky. It had entered their lives. And this time Alex knew he would have to fight. Not just for love, but for the life of the woman he cherished most. After that night, Alex couldn't sleep. He sat alone in the living room, the dim light casting long shadows over his tense face and brooding eyes. Before him lay the black box, the photo of Tuna and the cold, gleaming knife inside. Every glance at it made his chest tighten with fury. How could anyone be so cruel, to threaten a gentle woman and an unborn child? At dawn, while Tuna was still asleep, Alex quietly left the house. He drove straight to a private security agency he knew well. "I need to trace the source of these items, especially who sent them." His voice was low, sharp, and determined. The investigator nodded gravely. "We'll prioritize this case. Do you have anyone in mind?" Alex hesitated for a few seconds, then said quietly, "Yes. Someone who used to work with me, Mai." The name escaped his lips like a blade cutting through silence. He remembered her eyes during meetings, that strange, possessive glint whenever they met his. She'd left the company not long ago, saying she needed a break. Now he finally understood why. Meanwhile, at home, Tuna sat by the window, her eyes filled with quiet worry. She knew Alex had discovered the truth, and now her fear was no longer for herself but for him. "If that woman is truly dangerous, will he be hurt because of me?" she whispered, resting her hand on her belly, feeling the faint heartbeat of their baby. That afternoon, Alex returned home. His face was colder than before. He pulled her close and murmured, "I've arranged for people to watch the area around the house. Don't worry. I won't leave you alone anymore." Tuna buried her face in his chest, her voice trembling. "I don't want you to get hurt because of me." He cupped her cheek, his tone gentle but firm. "I'd rather be in danger than see you this afraid. They want to tear us apart, but I won't let them." That night, Alex's phone buzzed. "Mr. Alex, we found something. A woman named Mai hired someone to deliver the packages. She used a fake name, but we got the security footage." Alex's breath caught. On the screen, Mai's face appeared. That thin smile, those cold, burning eyes. His jaw clenched. "I'll handle her myself." The next day, Alex met Mai at a quiet cafe. She wore a white coat, her hair loose, her smile faint, as if nothing had happened. "It's been a while, Alex. Are you still happy?" she asked softly, her gaze sharp with hidden meaning. Alex didn't mince words. "Why did you do it, Mai? What has Tuna ever done to you?" Mai's lips curled in a bitter smile. "She took everything that should have been mine. Your attention, the tenderness you never once gave me." Alex exhaled deeply. "My love can't be forced. You're hurting an innocent woman. And yourself." Her laugh was warped, almost breaking. "Innocent? She changed you, made me invisible, and now she even carries your child. I'm just taking back what's mine." Alex slammed his hand on the table, his voice hard as steel. "If you touch her again, even once, I won't forgive you." The air turned heavy. Mai's eyes flickered, but she turned away, whispering, "You'll regret this, Alex. You don't know how far desperation can drive someone." That night, Alex held Tuna close. She didn't know the full truth, only sensed his heavy breathing, the worry in his embrace. "It'll all be over soon," he whispered. But outside, in the dark, Mai stood on a street corner, watching the lights from their home. Tears shimmered in her cold eyes as she murmured, "If I can't have you, then no one will." The wind rose carrying her broken words. The sound of love turned to madness. Days passed after the confrontation and Mai vanished completely. No calls, no messages, no trace. Alex believed his warning had worked. But silence was only the prelude to something far worse. One morning, Tuna went to the market as usual. The sky was clear, the sun warm. Everything seemed peaceful again. She smiled, arranged her cakes, and tried to forget her fear. Then screeching tires. A shout. A black truck hurtled past her stall, missing her by only a few feet. Dust filled the air, screams erupted around her. It was aiming at her, someone cried. Tuna froze, her heart pounding. This was no accident. That evening, her trembling voice came through the phone. "Alex. I'm scared, they're not stopping." Alex dropped everything and sped to her. Seeing her pale and shaking, holding her belly, rage consumed him. He called the investigator, voice cold as ice. "Find out who was driving that truck. I want answers in 24 hours. The next night the report came. The truck was rented under a fake name, paid in cash. But the gas station camera caught someone with the driver, Mai. Alex's knuckles turned white. She had gone too far. He grabbed his keys and drove off into the night. In an abandoned house on the outskirts, Mai stood alone, staring at a photo of Alex and Tuna. Her eyes were wild, filled with obsession and despair. "You chose her over me. You made me like this," she whispered, gripping a small vial of unknown liquid. Outside, thunder rumbled. Alex's car screeched to a stop. He stormed in. Mai turned, smiling faintly through her tears. "You came. I knew you couldn't leave her alone." "Mai, stop this!" Alex shouted. "You nearly killed her. What more do you want?" She laughed through sobs. "I just wanted you to look at me again the way you look at her. I wanted her gone so you'd come back." Alex's tone softened but remained firm. "You need help, Mai. Don't throw yourself into this abyss." Just then his phone rang. "Tuna. Alex. Someone's outside. They're banging on the door." His blood ran cold. "Lock the doors. Don't move." He turned and sprinted out, ignoring Mai's scream behind him. "If you walk away, you'll lose everything." When Alex reached home, his heart nearly stopped. The window was shattered. Tuna lay collapsed beside the table, her breathing faint. A small bottle rolled across the floor, its sharp chemical scent filling the room. He ran to her, lifting her into his arms. "Nah. Stay with me. Please open your eyes." She clutched his hand weakly, whispering between breaths. "Alex, don't worry about me, save the baby." Tears streamed down his face. Smoke was seeping from the kitchen. Someone had started a fire. In that instant he had to choose. Carry Tuna out, or try to save the baby first. Through the choking smoke, Alex held her close and cried out, "I won't lose you or our child." He charged through the flames, bursting outside just as the fire exploded behind them. A week later in the hospital, Tuna lay pale but breathing steadily. Alex sat beside her, never letting go of her hand. The doctor entered softly. "She and the baby are safe. You brought her in just in time." Alex lowered his head, his hands trembling as tears of relief fell onto hers. Tears born of fear, gratitude, and love. Outside, the rain had finally stopped. But somewhere in the dark, Mai had not disappeared. She was found near the border, clutching burned photographs and a scrap of paper scrawled with the words, "If I can't have them, their love will never be whole." The story was not yet over. Because sometimes, happiness can only survive when we have the courage to protect it with everything we have. The steady beep of the heart monitor echoed softly through the pristine white hospital room. Morning sunlight streamed gently through the curtains, bathing Tuna's face in a tender glow. After many days in a coma, she stirred. Her lashes trembled and slowly, her eyes fluttered open. The world before her was hazy. Beside her bed sat a man, head bowed, his hand clutching hers tightly. It was Alex. He was still wearing the same wrinkled jacket. Dark circles hollowed his eyes from countless sleepless nights. When he felt the faint movement in her hand, he looked up, and in that moment his eyes filled with tears. "Now you're awake?" His voice was rough, trembling. Tuna tried to smile, her voice weak but gentle. "Don't cry. I'm fine." And the baby too, right? Alex held her hand tighter, tears streaming down his face even as he smiled. Both of you are safe. The doctor said you're incredibly strong. I just kept thinking, if I'd been a moment later. She reached up, her fingertips brushing his cheek with quiet affection. They say when you truly love someone, they'll always arrive just in time. And you did. The room fell into a deep, tender silence. Alex lowered his head and kissed her hand softly, whispering, I promise. I'll never let you be afraid again. 3 days later, the police came to see Alex. A calm-faced officer handed him a file and said, We've arrested Mai near the northern border. She appears to be mentally unstable. In her statement, she confessed to hiring people to threaten Miss Tuna and to setting the fire. Alex fell silent. There was no anger left, only sorrow. Sorrow for a soul destroyed by jealousy and obsession. If possible, he said quietly, please make sure she gets psychiatric treatment. The officer nodded. You're a forgiving man, Mr. Alex. Not many could say that. When they left, Alex returned to the hospital room. Tuna was sitting by the window, her head resting lightly against the frame, gazing at the garden below. The breeze stirred the curtains, the faint scent of flowers filled the air. He walked over and gently placed his hand on her shoulder. They caught Mai. You don't have to worry anymore. She was silent for a moment, then whispered, I don't hate her. I just feel sad. To love someone so much that you lose yourself. It's more tragic than hateful. Alex squeezed her shoulder softly, his eyes warm and tender. We've weathered enough storms, Na. All that's left is peace. Tomorrow when you're discharged, I want to take you somewhere filled with sunshine, flowers, and our child's laughter. Tuna turned to him, her smile faint yet radiant, like a ray of light breaking through morning mist. Let's go home, Alex.
Xin chào mọi người, rất vui được gặp lại mọi người trong video của mình. Mình hy vọng rằng những video của mình sẽ mang đến niềm vui cho mọi người. Hiện tại video của mình đang kể về câu chuyện đến Tuna. Và hiện sau những khó khăn biến cố thì người hãm hại Tuna đã bị bắt và Tuna hạnh phúc bên Alex. Nhưng liệu rằng mọi thứ đã kết thúc hay là mới là khởi đầu của những biến cố tiếp theo thì mời mọi người đón xem ở video tiếp theo nha. Và để không bỏ lỡ video nào thì mọi người nhớ like, share, bật chuông thông báo để nhận thông báo khi mình đăng video mới nhất. Hiện tại kênh của mình thì đang phát hành câu chuyện của người mẹ đơn thân Diệu Hân và Ní Tử Na. Mình rất mong được mọi người ủng hộ kênh của mình để mình có động lực ra nhiều video hơn. Cảm ơn mọi người đã xem hết video hôm nay của mình. Xin chào và hẹn gặp lại mọi người nha.